This KATC Weather Alert is sponsored by the Jim Olivier family of companies.
Good afternoon, Acadiana. Well, we do have another tornado warning in effect for Vermilion Parish, so let's get over to the weather wall. Busy afternoon unfolding. You can see all the showers and storms, and just got word from the Storm Prediction Center that they are going to be issuing a new tornado watch. I would think it's going to be very shortly for the rest of Acadiana and farther to the east. Now, here's that warning that we have down here in Vermilion Parish, a cell that is heading toward the Highway 14 corridor. This is the cell right here, moving generally to the north. It's going to move between Kaplan and Gaydon, but we have detected a little bit of a circulation. So here's the current warning right now. Let's go ahead. That, I believe, is in effect till 5:15 this afternoon. So there we go. Let's take a look. There's the what we're seeing on the velocity data. So there is a little bit of a velocity couplet going on right now. This is what we're concerned with, and it's getting a little bit better organized. So let's just take a look at some of the winds that we're picking up right here, and we're looking at 35 coming this way, and let's see if we can hit something here that's worthy of a tornado. Not much going on. It looks like a low-end threat, but certainly a little bit of a mesocirculation here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the storm tracking and see if the Doppler is even picking up on that. There was a little bit of a circulation with a cell that's in northern portions of Vermilion Parish, but right now this is the cell, and it's got a little bit of a hook echo presentation on the radars right here. Let's bring in Power Doppler 3. That's a cleaner shot. You can see less noise associated with it and doesn't look nearly as organized as we would think. Notice the very heavy rain, though, beginning to move through Lafayette right now. So busy afternoon across the area. Here's the big picture with the tornado warning that goes from Vermilion Parish all the way up to the Acadia Parish border. That's till 5:15 this afternoon, so another half hour or so. But you see more storms back to the west across the region, and they're going to be gradually working their way eastward with time. In fact, that's what the Storm Prediction Center was saying. It looks like things are going to get more active with time. In fact, let's go open it on up. We'll bring in the Doppler sweeps, and we'll get out into the Gulf of Mexico here. And you can see there's plenty of action. Let me just drag this over. Plenty of action offshore. And this is all going to be marching northeastward toward the Louisiana coastline. So putting this in motion right here, you can see it's a parade of storms, and they're getting more and more organized as we go throughout the afternoon and early evening hours, as we notice all of the storms across the region. So don't be surprised if we have a tornado watch issued between now and 5 o'clock, maybe a little bit after that, but we do have once again a tornado warning in effect for Vermilion Parish, and that's for this cell right here. You see we have a little bit of a couplet, but remind you that we're shooting this pretty high in the sky. This is coming out of the Lake Charles Doppler radar on the velocity data, and just to give you an idea, I can measure that, and that's roughly being interrogated about 3,500 feet up in the sky. So we do have some rotation going. Question always is whether these are going to reach the ground. And one thing we have noticed this time around with the storms, we're pretty much seeing the storms getting cooking offshore and moving inland. So there is going to be less of a marine layer involved, and maybe a little bit more of a severe weather threat than we originally thought. We're under a slight risk area, but notice the storms really get cooking through 6, 7 o'clock this evening and then pushing on through. We could have some cell mergers that result in damaging winds. That's going to be the primary threat, but we've had 2 tornado warnings so far this afternoon, with more possibly later on this evening. So let's work our way backward. Once again, just to fill you in, we do have a tornado warning in effect for this red boxed area here. That's till 5:15, a storm that's going to go between Kaplan and Gaydon. And let's take a look at this cell. Let's set it up right here, and let's do a cone right here, and we'll bring that cone out as far as we can. But here's our point, and we'll cancel that because that didn't work out. Here's our point. and we got it moving northeastward through the next half hour or so. It will be impacting the Mulvey area right in about 5 minutes or so. Andrew at about 5:08, and Leroy coming in at 5:11. So we'll watch this kind of some rural spots across Acadia Parish, southeastern Acadia Parish, and northwestern Vermilion Parish. But we know folks live out here, and we want to keep you apprised that there is a pretty intense storm that is showing some rotation showing up once again. Let's go back to tracking just to see if the Doppler is updated on what it's tracking with respect to any circulations, and it looks like it's got circulations elsewhere, but not with these cells. Again, Doppler radar may be backing off on this cell, and again, a marginal situation for producing a tornado warning, but nonetheless, the National Weather Service not playing around. They don't want to play around, especially with what I told you earlier about that marine layer, not as much of a factor. And again, we have that couplet right here on the velocity data where you see green, that's coming toward the Lake Charles radar, and red's moving away. So we do have a circulation right here that is just south and west-southwest of the Kaplan area. That's what we're looking at. It's going to miss Gaydon, but let's just get in a little bit closer and zoom on in and see where else this cell is going to be impacting. We'll get super close. Okay, so Mulvey, right along Highway 14. Let's just pan around here before we move in any further. And so this could be also impacting the Lions Point area. So this is the cell right here that has potentially damaging winds. Again, checking that and putting that in motion. We'll just watch this cell right here. Now notice at the beginning of the loop it was showing some magenta, and we don't see that right now. So the cell looks to be weakening, but nonetheless showing still some good velocity data just southwest of the Mulvey area. And again, we have not been picking up too much in the way. Let's interrogate this. I might have to move this up a little bit further up, but I don't think we're going to get to that right now. But nonetheless, let me move this on up right here and pan and bring this up into an area where we can storm track it a little bit better right there. And again, you can see that we do have some cells that are showing that rotation, and this is the one that we're watching around the Mulvey area. So again, tornado watch in effect till 5:15 p.m. for the area that you see shaded in the red right here. So this is heading toward the Mulvey area on northeastward, and back to the west we do have more in the way of showers and storms. And here we go again, severe weather coverage in Acadiana. A lightning strike just occurred nearby, and we are streaming. By the way, we're streaming on KATC.com, so if you lose your antenna, you can always go to KATC.com to follow us. But here's the intense storm that's producing some torrential downpours in Lafayette. As we mentioned, it was going to be a sloppy commute time this evening, and that will continue through the evening hours. So big picture again, showers and storms. We do have a tornado warning for this cell right here, but again, in northern Vermilion Parish, the actual warning is a broad area. They now have extended a little bit farther north and eastward into Acadia Parish, and there we go. Here's our tornado watch that has just come in. So let's go ahead and hit that, and there we see our tornado watch in effect for a good part, all of Acadiana through 11 o'clock tonight. So it's going to be a long evening ahead in the weather lab. Looks like our storms will continue on and off, slowly moving from the west to the east and not clearing St. Mary Parish maybe till 11 o'clock or midnight tonight. And again, we'll go through that tornado watch. You can see that's been updated. And let's just check the valid time. I'm sure this still goes through about 5:15. Yes, it does. There's that tornado warning for that cell. We're going to be taking a short break. We're going to continue to watch this cell. If it intensifies, we'll get back in on air. If not, we'll see you coming up on Acadiana's news channel at 5 or 4:58 in around there. So we'll be watching that closely. Of course, meteorologist Bradley Benoit working the second weather computer here in case we need to go more long and prolonged coverage. But once again, tornado warning for this cell, but the cell has been weakening, and we continue to see that to a degree. Let's bring in the sweeps because we're also getting heavy rain coming through Lafayette, and yeah, it's not weakening. That was a little bit of a false flag right there. And this is the cell that we're watching. Oh, and the couplet's getting a little bit better right now. You see it's a little bit more organized. You're seeing an abrupt change from green to red. So let's go ahead and interrogate that cell once again and see what we have going on right here. Let's just see if we can pick out some of the highest winds, and we kind of get 34 to 28. So 34, 28, you're talking over 60-mile-an-hour winds possible here, and could be locally higher, of course. Again, in the Mulvey area, this circulation is going right through you. We don't know if it's on the ground, if there's a tornado or damaging winds on the ground, but we do know at about 3,000 or 4,000 feet there is a circulation with this system. So this is the cell that we're watching, and again, this is the highlighted area that there could be a circulation. This is about to cross Highway 14, or it's just about crossing Highway 14. And then if we just open it on up just a little bit more and do a little bit of a storm track right here, we'll notice that not a whole lot of towns in the air. Gosh, we're not even seeing that on that. Let's get back to Doppler, and I want to just go ahead and do a track on this if we can, and do a cone and just go out over the next 30 minutes or so. Let's keep it at 30 minutes. Indian Bayou at about 5:11 and rain at about 5:20. So that's what we have for right now. Tornado warning. Looks like a low-end tornado threat, but we could certainly have damage and circulation showing up down on the ground. Quick check of the National Weather Service chat. Don't see anything. Some damage in Sorrento. That's over toward coming out of the Slidell. No updates coming in through the National Weather Service chat. So once again, tornado warning in effect for Vermilion Parish. Again, it doesn't look like an overt situation, but this thing's been tightening up. So we'll watch it very closely. Going to have an update for you first thing coming up on Acadiana's News Channel of 5. So stay with us. We'll have updates throughout the evening and on KATC.com as well. So we'll see you in just a little bit. Till then, Chief Meteorologist Rob Perot reporting live from the KATC Weather Lab. Fact till 11 o'clock tonight, so keep that in mind. So here's the big picture. Showers and storms widespread across the area. They've been intensifying, and as we thought, the Storm Prediction Center indicated that they were going to be sending out a tornado watch for the entire area. So this is what we have in Acadiana right now. Heavy downpours in the northern portions of Lafayette Parish into Acadia Parish, all the way over to Allen Parish. And then let's get into our cell right here that we're watching that is just along the Vermilion Acadia Parish border. It's working its way northeastward. This is the tornado warned area that goes till 5:15 this afternoon. And here's the circulation, and this is the good news, and this may mean that we get to continue with the newscast in just a bit. We are seeing a circulation that maxed out a little bit, and now we're seeing a little bit less in the way of the possibility of damaging winds and organization. So just a quick check of some of the wind speeds that we're seeing right here. Not seeing a whole lot, so that is good news. It looks like this cell is weakening, and this is kind of the nature of these storms. They can pulse up and get intense quite quickly, and then as quickly as they generate up, the Weather Service has to issue a tornado warning because they see that circulation tightening, and now that circulation has loosened up just a little bit, so that is the good news. Once again, we do have a tornado warning in effect for portions of Vermilion and Acadia Parish for the next 15 minutes, but right now we're seeing the evidence that this cell is not nearly as organized. You can see the red and green. Initially, we had a good couplet. In fact, I can go ahead and stop this right now and just move the timeline back, and notice how right here we had a nice couplet right as it was crossing Highway 82. Is that? Yes. No, that's 82. Yeah, that's Highway 14, rather, as we go west of Kaplan. But this is what we have right now. You can see the storm has weakened in its intensity. So for right now, we do have that tornado warning. We're going to keep an eye on the cell. But what we'll do is we'll turn it over to the newscast. And if we see that circulation tightening up once again, or a change in what we've been watching, or a new tornado warning is issued, we'll be cutting back in. So that's it right now from the Weather Lab. Strong to severe storms through this evening. We'll take a look at the forecast and the complete True View forecast coming your way in just a few short minutes.